We're getting deeper, traders, into Q4 2019, and as many of you guys know, this might not be the best quarter in terms of volatility when it comes to the cyclical amount of price movement. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about what to do and how to spot trading opportunities when they maybe aren't any, right? Be a little bit more patient, and also let you guys in on maybe what we do see coming around in markets later on this week. All right, let's roll the intro. Cool. All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Top Trader channel. It's your head trader here, Cleveland Bishop. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I'm finally back from Thailand. 31 days. Okay. Amazing, amazing time. I will tell you guys this. All right. You got to be careful with what you drink. You got to be careful with what you eat. I mean, you're in a completely different country. It's a level 3 country, so they're not in any capacity, underdeveloped, right? I mean, it's not like a developing nation. It is, but they are moving really, really fast. I mean, they've had over 5% GDP growth every single year, which is a lot. Okay, 10 years, a decade, 20 years, and their GDP doubles, right? And so you gotta be a little bit careful. Sometimes you might find a little bit of bugs in your food and whatnot. The water systems there, they aren't so great, but outside of that, it was an amazing time. Happy to be back here. Definitely getting a little bit more focused in, the day-to-day morning, what's happening in the Australian session, what's happening in the US session, so on and so forth. I'm much more active with what we're seeing in markets, and me being so much more present, I'm seeing that markets are real slow. Okay, markets are real slow. Earlier last week, I mentioned a few things about Brexit. I mentioned a few things about potential dollar opportunities that we may see unfold. Here's a quick screenshot of maybe a new update in regards to the trade war that's happening with Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. They aren't really signing off on supposed agreements that should get the whole idea, the whole motion of the whole trade war regime moving along. They're not actively kind of getting into that game. And it might be because there might still be a few things behind the scenes that they haven't touched on yet. Those are some of the bigger trades: Brexit, trade war, Euro. That might also be something big that may come around a bit. We do see some things happening with Germany. Here's an article that got pushed out saying Germany, if they leave the European, they're not going to leave the European Union, but they could start to become a little bit more isolated in thought. And that just starts to snowball. The more conservative these nations become, the more likely it is that they want to start isolating themselves a little bit more. So that's also something, again, that we can look into. But as we guys know, Germany, their numbers are a little bit lower. It's the number 1 economy in the European Union, but their numbers have not been up to par with where they wanted them to be in 2019. And that has slowed inflation in the overall European Union. So there might be a Euro trade there as well. We're going to go into the charts and we're going to take a quick look. But what I want you guys to do is when you're sitting at your terminal, or when you're trying to rationalize to get into a certain position, and I'm mostly speaking to my fundamental traders here, usually we're trading because of a certain thing that we see happening in markets, whether we're trying to take advantage of interest rate conversations, or whether you're trying to take advantage of certain things that the Fed may have said during meeting minutes. If there isn't too much volatility in markets, and time after time you're thinking there's going to be a catalyst that sparks markets, but nothing happens, you got to be very careful, okay? Because think of trading in this capacity, right? Let's just think of trading when markets are trending and when markets aren't trending. Everyone can make money in a trending market, right? Let's say there was just some ridiculous bull run on the JPY because lots of risk sentiment is coming to the market. Well, as long as you're buying JPY for that specific quarter or 2 quarters, then you should be doing pretty well. Your overall portfolio, your overall performance will be up. But the second things start to consolidate, or the second things start to reverse, and there is no motion, a lot of times traders will just keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing and trying to get some type of flow. And the more it's not there, the more likely you're going to lose 1%, lose 2%. Oh, I'm going to go big. Okay, a small move may surmount to you having a large percentage loss in your portfolio simply because you're just trying to make something happen that isn't there, right? So just know what your strategy is to the core. Understand really what the catalyst is that you would want to see. Or think back to the times where Brexit was going on and the trade war was happening, and you're like, man, these moves, they were so fluid back then. Remember those times, because those times are going to come and go. All right, and what that's going to allow you to do is realize that, hey, if I don't see anything that's worth it, I'm not going to get involved. All right, that's the biggest lesson that I've learned when it comes to making sure I'm just sitting on my hands and we're not too active actually placing positions on if we don't see anything that's actually really there. Okay, so patience. All right, patience. Now, we do have some things, again, I want to take a look at. When it comes to the Australian dollar, this has been something that's been pretty interesting to me. Take a look at this here. Let's pull it up. I want to show you guys just the overall Australian dollar index at first. And if we take a look at the Aussie index, you guys see that it's been fairly consolidated, right? I mean, if we look all the way back to 2019, when 2019 began, we started off real slow, pushed to the upside just a bit, but then after the trade war stuff started happening and started ramping up, we just took a lot of sell side, but we have since somewhat stabilized. And if we look here on the weekly time frame, what you guys are going to notice, okay, if we zoom on in a bit, is that we're sitting right underneath a pretty decent sized consolidated area here, right? So this area here is where this Aussie dollar really needs to challenge itself and test itself. If we can get some type of push back up here to the upside, then we're going to be much more successful with actually seeing some good flow for that Australian dollar. And most of that's going to happen because of different things that are going to be going on with the trade war. Now, if I show you what we're seeing also on the NZD as well, you'll see the same thing. They're very much correlated, right? You have this overall, this is a weekly, you have this overall area here where, again, we need markets to push back up into structure. Here, I'll draw it up. Again, if we get that price move, then we're going to be excited because we know it's going to be highly correlated back over to what's happening again in the trade war. These are some trades that I'm really taking a look at. Okay, and so again, yes, these are the indexes. Let's take a look at the actual currencies themselves that you might want to take advantage of. Think about it. We want the NZD and we want the AUD to push to the upside. We want buys on those. So what are some currencies we may be looking to sell? Well, let's maybe talk a little bit more about the JPY. If Brexit negotiations go well, we may see some more sell side on the JPY. If trade war goes well, we may see some more sell side on the JPY. So let's talk about the NZD JPY. Let's take a look at what we see here. Here we go. Boom. We have the NZD JPY holding a little high here to the upside. So what does this mean for us if we get a sell side move, right? So what that basically would mean is it's costing less and less JPY to buy the NZD. Okay, so that's not actually what you would want to see. You would want to see here more or less an upside move. It's costing more JPY to buy some NZD, and so you would want to break out of this hot upper range there. Now, of course, if the opposite happens and you're like, Cleveland, I want to buy the JPY, I think everything's going to go horrible, and I think as the trade war gets worse, I want to be selling the NZD, well, then there you go. You're going to be taking a breakout sell side, right? But for us, again, with our bias opposite, we want to be looking at this bad boy to maybe push back to the upside a little bit higher. Now, this is a daily, so this may take time to unfold, and the good thing about it is, yeah, you can get faked out. You can get a move that breaks that high here and then turns around. That sucks, but a lot of times when you're looking at these higher time frames, those fake outs don't happen as much. You know, if you guys are day trading, you guys are gonna get faked out, who knows, maybe even 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. At some point, I've been looking at 30-minute time frames where I thought, okay, good, these are a little bit more structurally sound. I've been in and out of markets on fake outs on 30-minute time frames like 4 or 5 times where I'm in and then I'm like, okay, wait, I'm out. And then I'm in and then because again, you just never know when the market's gonna actually pull the trigger. And here you don't have as much as that noise, and it gives you a little bit more satisfaction. Like, hey, when you get the breakout, hopefully it's a little bit more fluid and hopefully that thing runs. If you don't get the breakout and markets just rip sell side, you know what's great about that? You were never in the move to begin with, okay? So you actually didn't have any type of drawdown in that scenario. So again, NZD JPY there, we can go take a look. We can take a look at the AUD JPY here as well. And again, we should probably be looking to do nearly the same thing. Now, what's interesting about this one is the structure is a little bit less sound. It's kind of strange, but same thing. You maybe want to see a continuation here of this overall very ugly trend. Maybe those are the type of combinations that we can look for this week when it comes to playing these pairs. Let's take a look at the GBP. We just looked at the GBP less than 5 trading days ago. But we're going to take another look at it because who knows what has happened. All right, look, nothing has happened. All right, and so you guys can notice that we're here. We can go take a look at the daily. Boom, there you go. And we're still stuck in this consolidation. So remember what we mentioned last week about this consolidated move here. If this move, all right, if the pound does not maintain this, you know, this high degree of hope that Brexit is going to get resolved, you will see this overall consolidation fall sell side. Boom. Now you have another potential trade here for some pairs, maybe matching up the GBP AUD, maybe matching up the GBP NZD. Okay, so guys, let me know what you guys think of that. We're going to be doing a lot more content. We have another video coming out Wednesday, and we have another video coming out Friday as well, and we're going to definitely be very much on game with what it is going on in markets, and all of that is going to be revolved around what we're seeing happening in markets before this year closes out. What are you guys looking at? All right, I want to know, because as of right now, we're pretty calm. We're pretty casually monitoring things. Kyler has a few things he's been looking at. He's been talking about a Euro JPY trade. We may talk about that one a little bit on later next week. If we push anything out in the academy, which is obviously there for you guys if you want to learn a little bit more about fundamentals, we'll let you guys know about that also. Okay, so traders, trade safe. Make sure you guys all have your stops on. Things can get a little ugly when the volatility is low. Okay, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later on this week. Safe trading, folks. Peace out.